In the history of China's aviation development, there emerged a unique fighter jet. In a sense, without it, the J-7 J-10, and J-20 might never have come to be. This aircraft is the J-9, whose cancellation still evokes regret among some domestic military enthusiasts to this day. After all, even by today's standards, the J-9's technical design would surpass most fighter jets worldwide. Given its advanced nature, why did it ultimately fail and get scrapped? The answer is rather bittersweet. China at the time lacked the capacity to support the J-9, a fighter ahead of its time. To understand the J-9, we must return to the turbulent 1970s. China found itself caught between the two superpowers of the US and the Soviet Union, facing unprecedented defense pressures. Particularly from the north, the Soviet Union posed a constant threat. Since the Tu-22M supersonic bomber entered service in 1962, it hung like the sword of Damocles over China. Capable of exceeding Mach 2.3 and rumored to reach Mach 2.7 under extreme conditions, this bomber, armed with nuclear weapons, posed a lethal threat to China's fragile air defense network. China urgently needed a high-altitude, high-speed interceptor. Command maps demanded a fighter capable of diving toward targets at over Mach 2.5 from altitudes exceeding 20,000 meters, thus the Double 26 specifications, a service ceiling of 26,000 meters, and a speed of Mach 2.6. These figures weren't arbitrary, they targeted tactical countermeasures against the Tu-22, aiming to shoot down enemy bombers before they reached their bombing runs. Yet globally, few aircraft met these standards at the time. America's Senior 71 reconnaissance plane was fast but not a fighter. The Soviet MiG-25 Foxbat could reach Mach 3, but it was a dedicated interceptor built with stainless steel for extreme durability, limiting its maneuverability and multi-role capabilities. What China sought was an air superiority fighter combining high speed, exceptional agility, and all-weather combat capability, an unquestionably hellish challenge. The J-9 project officially commenced in 1970. The development team secretly relocated from Shenyang to Chengdu, launching this high-stakes endeavor in the makeshift facilities of a former aviation school. Their first major hurdle was the engine. To achieve Mach 2.6, conventional turbojet engines were inadequate. A completely new turbofan engine had to be developed. Thus, the WS-6 project was launched simultaneously, targeting a thrust of 13.8 tons with a thrust-to-weight ratio exceeding 6, a technological leap comparable to landing on the moon at the time. Consider this, the F-100 engine powering the American F-15 at the time delivered roughly 11 tons of thrust, while the Soviet Al-31 series was still in its infancy. China's foundational industries, from materials metallurgy to precision machining, were still in their infancy. The WS-6 design drawings brimmed with innovations like a three-stage fan, an annular combustion chamber. Yet, while conceptual design seemed straightforward, actually manufacturing blades and turbine discs capable of withstanding extreme temperatures and pressures demanded high-temperature alloys and precision casting techniques, both critically scarce in China at the time. More challenging still was the testing infrastructure. Engine evaluation demanded extensive wind tunnel complexes and test stands. Yet early 1970s China possessed only a handful of subsonic wind tunnels, with virtually no supersonic testing capability. If the engine is the heart, then the aerodynamic layout is the soul. To bridge the speed gap, the J-9 team boldly adopted a canard configuration, where the front wings sit close to the nose, and the main wings are positioned further back. This layout significantly boosts lift and maneuverability, but at the cost of extremely poor flight stability. Piloting it felt like riding an angry wild bull. The slightest misstep could lead to loss of control. At the time, no operational fighter worldwide employed a pure canard configuration. While Sweden's Saab 37 just used closely coupled canards, these served primarily as supplementary rather than primary wings. For the J-9 to succeed, it had to solve the vortex coupling issues between the canards and main wings, along with the resulting flight control challenges. This demanded an exceptionally sensitive and reliable fly-by-wire control system, using computers to adjust control surfaces in real time to maintain equilibrium. However, in 1970s China, integrated circuits were still in their infancy, and computers remained bulky vacuum tube machines. Developing a digital flight control system small enough to fit inside a fighter jet, resistant to interference, and capable of millisecond-level response times was nothing short of a pipe dream. The team considered transitional mechanical backup systems, but calculations revealed that at Mach 2.6, pilots' manual reaction times could not keep pace with airflow changes. A single minor error could lead to disintegration. This technological gap could not be bridged by sheer human effort alone. It laid bare China's critical shortcomings in the electronics industry. Materials science presented another major hurdle. When a fighter jet exceeds Mach 2.5, the air friction on its surface generates temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Celsius, the so-called thermal barrier. Traditional aluminum alloys rapidly soften and lose strength at such temperatures. The Soviet MiG-25 opted for stainless steel welding, but this significantly increased weight, sacrificing range and maneuverability. The American Senior 71 used titanium alloys, but these were prohibitively expensive and extremely difficult to process. The J-9 design team also considered titanium alloys, but China's titanium ore mining and smelting technology at the time was underdeveloped. Production capacity could barely meet prototype demands, let alone mass production. They attempted to apply heat shielding coatings to the aluminum alloy surfaces, but coating technology was equally immature, prone to peeling under high-speed airflow. More realistically, China's aviation industrial system at the time struggled even to ensure a stable supply of high-quality aluminum alloys. The Great Leap Forward's blind pursuit of output had caused technological regression in many metallurgical plants, resulting in products with high impurity levels and inconsistent performance. A fighter's airframe requires tens of thousands of rivets and skin panels. If the materials fail to meet standards, even the finest design becomes a castle in the air. These seemingly trivial details, like straws piling up, gradually crushed the J-9's backbone. Beyond technical shortcomings, the twists of historical circumstance also shaped the J-9's fate. Shortly after development began, the central government directed the team to simultaneously oversee the J-7 upgrade project. As the Air Force's mainstay fighter at the time, the J-7 urgently required enhanced avionics and weaponry to address border conflicts, a task both pressing and promising quick results. By contrast, the J-9 seemed like a distant gamble. With limited resources, manpower and materials naturally shifted toward the J-7. Many engineers originally dedicated to the J-9 were forced to juggle tasks, handling radar retrofits and missile integration for the J-7. This divided focus led to repeated revisions of the J-9's blueprints and repeated delays in progress. By the late 1970s, China entered its reform and opening up era, shifting the national strategic focus entirely toward economic development. Military restraint became the prevailing tone, defense budgets were drastically cut, and many long-term projects faced reassessment. The J-9, a project characterized by massive investment, an extended timeline, and extreme risk, felt increasingly out of step with the new wave of pragmatism. Estimates at the time indicated that completing the J-9 prototype would require additional investments of at least hundreds of millions of RMB, funds sufficient to build dozens of civilian factories. Faced with the choice between bread and guns, the decision-maker's scales gradually tipped. Shifting international dynamics also quietly diminished the J-9's urgency. By the 1980s, Sino-American relations had thawed, while the Soviet Union was bogged down in Afghanistan, seemingly easing the direct northern threat. Concurrently, cracks appeared in Western technological embargoes, granting China access to third-generation fighter concepts like the Mirage 2000 and F-16. Military leaders increasingly recognized that the pursuit of high-altitude, high-speed performance was no longer the global trend. The energy-based air combat doctrine, emphasizing low to medium altitude maneuverability, multi-role capabilities, and advanced avionics, was gaining prominence. The J-9's role appeared more tailored as a specialized interceptor for specific threats rather than a versatile fighter suited for future battlefields. Although the team attempted design adjustments, proposing the J-9I variant with side-mounted intakes and optimized canards, the core speed requirements remained unchanged. This meant numerous technical bottlenecks could not be circumvented. Yet was the J-9 truly a failure? From a project standpoint, yes. It never took to the skies, but viewed through the lens of China's aviation industry evolution, it served as a valuable aerial university. The J-9 program's explorations left behind significant legacy. Without the J-9 as a foundation, neither the J-7 III, J-10, nor the J-20 would have emerged.